This is How America Was Stolen, Episode 38. This episode begins when Native victories, legal, cultural, and economic, triggered a familiar response: backlash. As tribes asserted sovereignty more visibly, challenged corporations, and won key court cases, opposition grew louder. Politicians warned that Native authority threatened state power. Media framed sovereignty as unfair advantage. Commentators questioned why treaties still mattered. Old arguments returned with new packaging, that honoring agreements created division, that sovereignty undermined unity, that justice had gone too far. These claims ignored history, but they shaped policy. States pushed back against tribal jurisdiction. Federal agencies narrowed interpretations of Native authority. Courts revisited decisions once thought settled. Progress began to stall. Some rulings limited tribal power over land and non-native citizens. Others weakened environmental protections. Each change was presented as balance, but the weight always fell on Native nations. Episode 38 shows how fragile recognition truly was. Rights existed only as long as they did not disrupt established power, and when they did, the system responded. Funding became leverage again. Programs were cut or conditioned. Support for tribal initiatives came with new oversight. Autonomy was framed as risk. Control tightened quietly. At the same time, public narratives shifted. Native resistance was reframed as extremism. Cultural pride was labeled separatism. Protests were portrayed as threats rather than expressions of survival. This framing justified force. Police presence increased at demonstrations. Surveillance returned. Activists were monitored. The language of national security replaced that of treaty rights. The methods had changed. The goal had not. Episode 38 also highlights internal strain. Communities debated strategy: protest or negotiation, confrontation or compromise. Leaders faced pressure from all sides. Youth pushed for urgency. Elders urged patience. Every choice carried risk. But despite the backlash, Native nations refused to disappear again. They built coalitions. They educated the public. They used media to tell their own stories. They challenged lies with history. And slowly, the narrative cracked. People began to ask why sovereignty was seen as dangerous only when exercised by Native nations. Why treaties were honored abroad but ignored at home. Why justice always